Hi, everybody. I'm Anthony Vargas with Sound and Communications Magazine. I'm here with JB Bowling, Director of Business Development for AV Integrator Clark. Thanks for being with us, JB.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we've been talking with AV professionals just about how the COVID-19 crisis has been affecting their day-to-day business. JB, tell us about how Clark has been adapting to the new normal.
I don't know if it's a new normal yet or not. Honestly, it seems like it's changing on a day-to-day basis. We're obviously watching everything to see, what's going to change, what's going to happen. We're trying to engage as much as we can with, our clients and keep things rolling and moving forward as much as possible that was already in the works. It's just uncertain right now. So we're still plugging away. We're still getting our jobs done. We have enough long-term projects that we're able to kind of continue work on the design front remotely, and maintaining social distancing as needed. But yeah, it's uncertain still to say where this is going to end up and where we're going to end, where everyone's going to end up. It's just a very interesting time.
And are you continuing to carry out like installations and maintenance, like field work, or is it mostly, are you mostly focusing on design work right now?
I think through last week, we had one group, small team that was finishing up an install and a launch of a church in Ohio. We're obviously following all the local laws and guidelines. There's some places where it's shelter in place and we should not be working, cannot work. Obviously, we're following all of the social distancing rules and trying to maintain offer any kind of, gloves, masks, anything we can for our people. In reality, people aren't meeting, people aren't in their locations right now. So we're not seeing that much need for actually being on site at this time. Obviously, we're a service-based organization, and if it's absolutely critical, absolutely necessary, we will try and do that, but obviously maintain what the government mandates.
And speaking of government mandates, Clark has a lot of different locations throughout the country, in different states, different cities, including Atlanta, Orlando, Dallas, Denver, Los Angeles. Has it been difficult to coordinate your response to the crisis, considering that all these different municipalities have their own different guidelines and restrictions?
It is confusing more than anything. You have to pay attention to what's going on in each, locale of the United States. I think lucky is not the right word. It's worked out up to this point where we haven't had any conflicts or any issues. With the construction process, we're kind of lumped in a lot of locales with the construction process, and we haven't run into any issues where it's like we've got to work but we can't work. So up to this point, it has not been an issue we've had to broach, and really we're really trying to maintain as much unneeded travel or unneeded in the field work at this point, and just maintaining what we can do from the comforts of our home and staying safe and socially distanced.
So with the reduction in kind of field work that you're doing, how has the crisis impacted your workforce? Have you had to cut any staff or anything like that?
Luckily, up to this point, we have not. Again, it's uncertain times, and I have no idea what the future holds. I wish I did, but at this point, we have not. We're going into our 25th year, and have been through a few crises over those 25 years, and some of the things we learned in the past was to diversify just a little bit so that we don't so that we can weather some of these storms. The 2008, 2009 economy issues were tough and taught us a lot of lessons, and so we have kind of diversified a little bit. Doesn't make it easy by any stretch of the mean. House of worship and the church market is the core of what we've always been a part of and what we've always focused on. And they're not meeting right now, and it makes things interesting. It's interesting though, if you come from that faith background, the church is not seen as a building. The church is the people. It's the group that gathers and the group that joins and associates together. And just like we're having this interview over Zoom, the churches have found many ways to engage and connect, and we're still able to support those clients through online streaming platforms, making sure they have the video equipment necessary to be able to accomplish that. I honestly have spent the last 2 weeks helping 20, 30 churches figure out the basic online stuff. We're not talking multicam and all that. We're talking, how do I get this basic camera? How do I get it streaming to Facebook or YouTube or whatever? And that's a lot of what we spend a lot of time doing lately.
And just along those same lines, what other kinds of opportunities have presented themselves from by the crisis? Like any kinds of particular vertical markets that are being affected that you had to prioritize trying to get them up to speed with some of this remote work technology?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say there's been any opportunities with the crisis. It's definitely made things more difficult. I'm encouraged in some way that there are still churches and organizations and people moving forward. They're not, they are more farsighted and looking at the bigger picture and realize this is going to go away. This is going to clear up. It's going to alter, I think, the way we operate and the way we function. Just like 9/11, I think changed a lot of the way we operate and the way, airlines, the security measures. I think this will change things, but churches are not nearsighted. They're seeing, hey, we're going to gather again. I've responded to a few different RFPs even on construction projects. So it doesn't seem like some people are slowing things down and relooking, or reassessing what they want to do. But there are still churches moving forward and looking to do projects, in the years to come. So I'm encouraged in that. I don't think it's going to shut down this industry or what we do, but I think it's going to be it's just going to be a tough process to get through and to make it through this this downturn in this time.
And just speaking of that long-term view, do you think this might be, and just the potential transformative nature of it all, do you think this might be kind of a wake-up call to some clients that maybe haven't prioritized this technology in the past?
Oh, very much so. So it's funny. We've had a few conversations around that. Is in the church market, there's obviously a lot of ideas around online and streaming, and do we put our content out or do we make people come and gather? And there are some organizations that from a theological standpoint didn't totally agree with online and putting their content online. And it's interesting. That's flipped all of that on its head entirely. We can't meet together, so we've got to engage with our people, and the people that were in these buildings, even if they, no matter what, want to engage with something familiar, with somebody that they know and somebody that's familiar. So yeah, I think from that perspective, it's changed a ton. It's going to open up a bunch of new ideas and opportunities for these churches to get their content out to other people.
And just as like a last kind of note, do you have any kind of advice or any parting words for your fellow AV professionals out there who are facing the same situation that you guys are?
Yeah, it's the same thing I tell everybody is you're not alone. We're all in this. We're all struggling. We're in the integration side. Obviously, we've got close partners on the rental and staging side, which are hit just as hard. And it's just an uncertain time. I think there's hope for the future. I think it's, paying attention to your clients, supporting them as best you can. I wish I had a great answer for that. It is tough, but I know we can make it through it. I know we can weather this. It's just, bury your head, get your work done, do the best work you can, and let's come out on the other side.
All right, JB, thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for talking to us about this.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.